Breaking news. Blue and Silver Nation. Things are heating up behind the scenes with the Detroit Lions, and I've got some hot updates to share with you. We're in the final stretch of preparation for this Sunday's big showdown against the Green Bay Packers, one of the most anticipated games of the season. The rivalry runs deep, the excitement is through the roof, and every detail is being fine-tuned to put this team on the field ready for another NFC North battle. Before I dive into everything I've learned in the past few hours, hit that like button if you believe the Lions are more prepared than ever to take down the Packers. Personally, I believe in this team with all my heart, and if you do too, drop it in the comments. Go Lions! Let's roar against the Packers. Now buckle up because I need your full attention. Let's get straight to the point. What's happening in Detroit right now has the fan base buzzing, and not always in agreement. Dan Campbell stepped in front of the microphones this week, and his words immediately set off debates across the Lions community. He made it clear that the team is not pursuing Zadarius Smith, despite ongoing chatter from fans and media, suggesting that Detroit needs another proven pass rusher. That decision alone has split opinions wide open. Many fans argue the Lions should be stacking as much depth as possible on the defensive front, while Campbell and Brad Holmes believe the roster already has what it needs, especially with the faith they're showing in Marcus Davenport and the current depth chart. It's a bold stance, and one that puts all the pressure on the health and consistency of this defensive line. If they stay healthy, this group could dominate, but if an injury strikes, the second guessing will be loud. You can already feel the tension. Do you trust the plan, or do you think Campbell is being overly stubborn? And then comes the quarterback situation. Campbell said straight up that the Lions were looking for someone who could run the show, process information, and handle the offense if pressed into action. That's why Detroit signed veteran C.J. Beathard to the practice squad. Now, let's be honest. Beathard isn't a name that's going to make fans jump out of their seats. He's been a career backup, moving through teams like the Jaguars, 49ers, Commanders, and Steelers. He's 31, listed at 6 feet 2 inches, 215 pounds, and has thrown for 3,886 yards with 19 touchdowns and 14 interceptions across his NFL career. His completion percentage sits at 60.4. These aren't superstar numbers, and nobody in Allen Park is pretending they are. But this move was never about finding a future starter. It's about insurance, stability in practice, and having a guy who can help prepare Jared Goff and Kyle Allen week in and week out. The cold truth is,
if Beathard is on the field in a real game, something's gone terribly wrong. That would mean both Goff and Allen are down, and at that point, the season outlook would shift dramatically. Beathard's role is clear: mentor, prepare, scout team leader, and emergency fallback under the new rules that allow a third QB to dress. It's not flashy, but it's practical. Then, as if quarterback talk wasn't enough, rumors hit the fan base about the Lions potentially trading away Khalif Raymond. According to a Bleacher Report suggestion, his spot could become expendable thanks to the emergence of Isaac Tesla and Dominic Lovett. Now, think about what that would mean. Raymond is a trusted weapon for Jared Goff, a proven return man on special teams, and one of those glue guys that coaches love to have in the locker room. Could a trade land something like a 6th-round pick? Maybe, maybe not. But the bigger question is whether it would actually make the team better. Losing Raymond would cut into the depth at receiver, and in a 17-game season plus playoffs, that depth matters. You can't assume perfect health, and you can't undervalue chemistry. Moving on from him feels like a gamble that could easily backfire. Sure, Lovett and Tesla flashed in camp, but improving potential doesn't always hold up when the games start counting. Do you sacrifice experience and trust for youth and draft capital? It's one of those debates that can keep fans up at night. And just when the Lions should be enjoying their momentum, The Athletic dropped a piece that hit like a punch to the gut. After polling front offices around the league, the consensus was that Detroit is the most likely team to regress this season. 16 out of 32 personnel departments picked the Lions as the team set to fall off the hardest. That's a staggering vote of no confidence, especially for a team that's been building so much respect over the past 2 years. Critics point to lost coordinators, to the challenges of sustaining success, to the natural corrections that happen after a 15-win campaign. But many in Detroit are calling this narrative lazy, ignoring the upgrades at defensive coordinator, the stability of the offensive line, and the internal growth of this roster. Campbell and the players will no doubt use this as fuel. If the league thinks the Lions are due for a setback, expect this team to come out swinging with a massive chip on its shoulder. And here's the twist. While Vegas odds lean against Detroit, plenty of media predictions don't. USA Today has most of their writers picking the Lions to beat the Packers this weekend, with only John Hollinger siding with Green Bay. Pride of Detroit? A clean sweep for Detroit. Even ESPN's analytics calculator gives the Lions a slight edge at 50.9%. The national narrative might be skeptical, but the local voices, the ones who know this team best, are confident. So now, it all circles back to you, the fans. Do you believe Dan Campbell's confidence in his edge rushers is justified? Do you feel comfortable with C.J. Beathard as the new emergency quarterback? Would you ever consider moving Khalif Raymond, or does his value to this team go far beyond stats and draft picks? And most importantly, do you buy into the national talk of regression, or do you see this team proving everyone wrong again? I want to know what you think. Drop your thoughts, because this season feels like it's setting up to be one of the most dramatic rides Detroit has had in years. And here's where things really start to get intriguing, because when you strip away the noise and look directly at this roster, you realize why the outside perception feels so out of touch. The Lions didn't stumble into last season's success by accident. It wasn't luck. It wasn't smoke and mirrors. It was a culture shift, built on Dan Campbell's relentless mindset and Brad Holmes' ability to spot talent and build depth. That kind of foundation doesn't vanish overnight just because the media says so. This team has invested in the trenches, it's built on physical football, and it has a quarterback in Jared Goff who, whether the national media wants to admit it or not, has been playing some of the most consistent football of his career. Add in the leadership of veterans like Taylor Decker and Frank Ragnow, plus the explosive upside of young weapons like Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jahmyr Gibbs, and you're looking at an offense that can challenge anyone in the league. On the defensive side, it's the same story. Aiden Hutchinson is growing into a nightmare for opposing tackles, and with the interior rotation getting stronger, this group is primed to take another step forward. That's why the whole Zadarius Smith debate feels so layered. On one hand, adding a proven rusher would ease concerns about depth and experience. On the other hand, Campbell's confidence shows just how much belief he has in the guys already in the building. If Hutchinson, Davenport, and company stay healthy, the need for a splash signing becomes far less pressing. But again, it's the NFL, depth is everything, and that's why fans keep pressing the issue. You can feel the hunger from the fan base for this team to go all in and erase every possible weakness. That hunger isn't a bad thing. It's the byproduct of a franchise finally standing on the doorstep of sustained relevance. And that's exactly why the Khalif Raymond rumor doesn't sit well with most of the fan base. Trading away a player like him might look like a chess move on paper, but football isn't played on paper, it's played on the field, in locker rooms, and in the trust built between teammates. Raymond is the kind of guy who might not headline highlights every week, but he changes games with reliability and versatility. Special teams often get overlooked until a mistake costs you dearly, and Raymond has been one of the most reliable return men in the league. Think about it, in tight, grinded-out games, those hidden yards in the return game can be the difference between winning and losing. Giving that up for a mid-to-late draft pick feels short-sighted, and if you're Jared Goff, knowing you can trust Raymond on crucial downs is invaluable. Chemistry isn't easy to replace, and losing it would be a gamble that cuts deeper than just roster math. As for C.J. Beathard, let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. He's not here to compete with Goff. He's not here to push Kyle Allen for the backup job. He's here to bring stability to practice and insurance for the worst-case scenario. Every great team needs those quiet contributors, the guys who might never start a game, but who make everyone else better Monday through Saturday. Beathard's seen multiple systems, worked with different coaching staffs, and understands the rhythm of NFL preparation. Having him on the practice squad means younger players get consistent reps against a quarterback who knows how to simulate real game scenarios. That matters more than most people realize, and if disaster ever struck, at least you know Beathard isn't going to be rattled. He's been there before. But let's not forget the looming question mark hanging over everything, regression. 16 front offices betting on the Lions to fall back down to earth. It almost sounds personal. It feels like the league still doesn't want to buy into Detroit's rise, as if the idea of the Lions being a serious contender just doesn't fit the old NFL hierarchy. That's exactly the kind of disrespect that fuels teams in ways outsiders can't measure. Campbell himself thrives on that underdog energy, and you know he's going to frame this as an us versus them narrative inside the locker room. That chip on the shoulder, it's about to grow even bigger, and that might be the best thing for this team. Predictions are already rolling in, and while Vegas lines tilt toward the Packers, the tide of opinion from media who actually study this team is clear. the Lions are expected to win. From pride of Detroit's clean sweep to USA Today's strong backing, the people who watch this team daily are siding with the Lions. Even ESPN's own computer models give Detroit the slightest of edges, proving that when you look past the headlines and dig into the data, the Lions stack up better than their doubters admit. This all sets the stage for Sunday, a game that's shaping up as much more than just another early season divisional matchup. It's about setting the tone for the season. It's about silencing critics before they get too loud. It's about proving that last year wasn't a fluke, that the Lions are here to stay, and that this city finally has a team built to contend year after year. Imagine the statement it would send if Detroit opens the season with a decisive win. Imagine the momentum that would carry. That's what's on the line. So, Lions fans, the question is simple. Where do you stand? Do you believe Campbell is right to stick with his guys on the edge? Do you think CJ Beathard was the best possible insurance move? Would you ever risk trading Khalif Raymond, or is his presence too important to lose? And do you see regression coming, or do you see this team shutting up every critic who doubts them? The conversation is yours. Drop your thoughts, because one thing's for sure, this season, every decision, every rumor, every game is going to matter more than ever. And here's the beauty of where the Lions stand right now. Every single storyline surrounding this team has weight. These aren't meaningless preseason distractions. These are real decisions that could shape the direction of the season. The debate over pass rush depth isn't just about one player. It's about how much faith you have in Brad Holmes' roster-building strategy. The Khalif Raymond rumors aren't just about one receiver.